We're live to the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, on the GDP number.
These figures is consumption. Consumption went backwards and discretionary spending fell substantially. And to get your head around that, in through the year terms, we saw around the same growth in the year as we usually see in a single quarter when it comes to consumption. And that gives you a sense here of consumption going backwards, but particularly discretionary spending, which has fallen really quite substantially. The other key takeouts that you would have seen in the data, real household incomes grew, services exports made a very useful contribution, dwellings and new business investment were flat, and productivity continues to be a challenge in our economy and has been for some decades. At a time when 2/3 of the OECD have seen their economy go backwards at least one quarter, we haven't done that. And so in that context, in the context of a really difficult global economic environment, any growth in our economy is welcome growth. This is an economy being buffeted by global uncertainty, price pressures and higher interest rates. We've got a lot going for us, but we know that people are under substantial pressure. Almost 1 million jobs have been created on our watch. Inflation has halved from its peak in the year that we were elected. Real incomes are growing. Tax cuts are rolling out, and we're helping with the cost of living. But we know, and we see in this data, that people are still doing it tough, and that's why the cost of living remains our highest priority. Helping people with the cost of living is the highest priority of the Albanese Labor government. Now, without government spending or without government spending growth, there'd be no growth in the economy at all. And the main contributors to that are health spending. Public final demand growth in annualised average growth terms is still lower at 3.3% than the 4.7% we saw under our predecessors, but it's making a really vital contribution here. Let me make that clear again. Without government spending, without growth in government spending, there'd be no growth in our economy at all. That is primarily health spending. Public final demand growth is still lower than what we saw under our predecessors, but it's making a useful contribution when it comes to the June quarter. Now, this justifies the way that we've managed the economy responsibly. Fighting inflation as our primary concern, but doing that without slashing and burning in a budget which is in a budget and in an economy which is already weak, and when people are already doing it tough. This vindicates the approach that we took in the budget, and it frankly torpedoes a lot of the free advice that we got at budget time to cut harder and harsher. That would have been a recipe for a much weaker economy. We know that from the June quarter data that you have before you now. So we will continue to manage the economy in the most responsible way that we can, maintaining a primary focus on inflation, but rolling out cost of living relief in the most responsible way. We've delivered 2 surpluses already, and we're making sure that as we fight inflation, we do that in a way that doesn't smash people or weaken an economy which is already very soft and subdued. These figures today are soft and subdued. They are what we expected and what the market expected. But we know people are doing it tough. We know growth in our economy is soft and subdued, and that's why our responsible economic management and striking all of the right balances is so important.